Welcome to All Worn Out. I'm your host, Warren Meredith. On the show today, singer, songwriter, guitarist, and producer, Emma Lamontagne. She just finished rocking the house at Bronson Center where she opened for Forrest Black. She's working on fantastic new music and going to be releasing soon. Let's get into it now with Emma Lamontagne. Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Worn Out.
Ooh, ooh.
It's a podcast about music. It's a podcast about what you're passionate about. And it's a podcast about what our guest is passionate about. We are very lucky, fortunate, excited, thrilled, over the moon, going bananas for the very fantastically talented, beautiful, hilarious,
Keep going.
brilliant. She's just amazing in all ways. She's Emma Lamontagne. And what a great name as well. Like,
I'm glad you like it.
you were born with that name?
I was, and then it became very ironic when I became so tall.
Well, it makes me think of Game of Thrones a little bit. Like you would have, like back in those days, maybe you would have been like a warrior queen, you know, perhaps with the long sword. But like,
I would need to be a little bit braver.
I don't know. I think you're very brave. And that's the thing. Like, okay, so one of the first things I'm going to say before I just forget to mention it is like, as a kid, one of the first concerts I was taken to by my mom was actually Jan Arden. So I went to go see Jan several times as a kid at the NAC. And what I remember distinctly about her was how hilarious she was and how she would weave comedy through the whole entire set. Like in the most intimate songs, like very intimate songs. And then I haven't really witnessed that much, to be honest with you, since that time. And then I watched your set at Redbird and I was like, oh, wow, cool. Like you're so vulnerable and open as an artist, and yet you're able to double hit some emotions there. In the banter, you're going with the humorous side, but it's honesty still, right? And then boom, into this song where it like rocks you. How long did it take you to develop that?
I didn't develop that. I actually started that when I did the Blues Fest She's the One competition, and the piano kept malfunctioning. So at first it was like the piano didn't turn on. Then they came, fixed it, the pedal didn't work, and then the monitor blacked out. And so I just started talking to the audience about like my English school assignment, and everybody was laughing, and the rest is history.
Wow. Well, I think it's brilliant, and you have to keep doing it because if you were a bad singer and you're like over the top amazing singer and guitar player, but like if you weren't good at that, I'd be like, go be a comedian. I'd be like, go hit the clubs right now because you're freaking funny. And like, yeah, and what's the song that you were singing here? I think it was I'm Not a Dancer, where you were throwing out lines and about being in people's pants and stuff. And I was like, if I said this, I get thrown in jail at the end of the night. Like people wouldn't be laughing at me, I don't think, you know?
It's pretty privilege. I will say that.
And then I saw your Spotify Wrapped, and you were like saying about like 3,000 men rejected or whatever it was. Ignored. Sorry. Well, that's better. I mean, don't even, yeah. But I mean, this is a reoccurring conversation with the ladies I have on this podcast, which is, I say to them like, man, you get some great traction on Instagram. And they look at me and they go, yeah, a bunch of creeps that message me all the time. And I'm like, okay, so there is like a downside, maybe a little bit to it.
You just take what comes with it, and you don't read most of it. That's my thing. I just ignore. We ignore, and we reward the nice ones.
Aw, that's excellent. I like that. And like, I don't get any messages at all. Like that doesn't happen. I mean, sometimes I get messages from friends and stuff, or fans. Maybe it's like friendly. The weirdest thing that ever happened was I got asked to sign a boob at Blues Fest, and
that's pretty sweet. I would sign a boob.
It was awkward because like the boyfriend asked me to do it, and the girl was there like, yeah, do it. So I was like, okay. Clearly they were
Did
talking.
she have to like reveal the boob a little bit too?
Oh, she brought it right out.
Oh.
Like just like I was a baby, like she was going to breastfeed me. And so then I was just like, okay, and away, I didn't even look because it's just so awkward, but it was Blues Fest, so I had to.
Okay, so here's what I think you do. Man bun. I think if you go full man bun in your social media content and you embrace hipster Instagram, I think you'll get some creeps.
Oh, I agree with you. I think I will too. That's a good call. That's a very good call. Okay, well, I want to go back because you're born in Kingston. Normally I ask people, I go, oh, where were you born? But I already read that you were born in Kingston. And then that made me mad because so many great musicians are born in Kingston.
It's pretty great.
But did you at least grow up in Ottawa?
No, I moved to Ottawa in 2010. Or no, 2010 was Germany, and then 2013 was Ottawa. So
Whoa, Germany. What happened in Germany?
My dad got posted.
Oh my gosh, you're a military brat?
A little bit, yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I still carry some of the brat, but it's just we lived there for 3 years, and then my dad retired in Ottawa, so I've been here ever since.
Wow. Can you shoot a gun? Can you shoot a gun like your dad? Did you ever think about joining the military?
No comment.
I've heard that you're very empathetic. That's part of your musical charm.
That's why I can't shoot anybody.
Yeah, that I'm the same. I would be shooting over people's heads. Unless they made me very angry, But
I like to believe that in a dangerous situation, I would be able to handle it. Like I'll take down the shooter in a mall or something. That's just in my head.
I believe it. I think you're more capable of it than me. I mean, again, 6'1", that's just a dream. For me, that's just the dream growing up, But you're the classic nightmare that I encountered going from grade 6, sorry, not in a bad way, but going from grade 6 to grade 7, I keep saying this story, but all the girls grew. So they all appeared to become 6'1" to me. I didn't grow.
Just constantly looking up at nostrils?
I stayed at 4'10", and I still was looking up in grade 7 and 8, and I didn't even hit puberty till grade 10. So, the whole being tall, I mean, that's amazing. I just wish I had that. And when I saw your Instagram story about how people think you're short, I burst out laughing.
I don't get it.
So people do assume that?
Yeah, oftentimes when I show up in person, people will say that I looked shorter on Zoom. That's just the typical, you looked shorter online. And I'm like, can you imagine if I told people, hey, you looked taller on camera?
It's not right. I met somebody, though, who is kind of a big guy in the music industry. And they're actually quite short. And it was shockingly so. And this person, though, is prepared for it. So, they taught me some valuable short man lessons. If you're taking a picture with a group of taller people, you just stand in front of them a foot and do a big motion, and you'll pretty much look like the same height. So,
and I always just get shoved to the back.
Okay, so you're how old in 2016?
16.
You're 16 years old, so you're in grade 10 or 11.
That was end of grade 10, I think, when I did that whole summer.
How did the competition come about? How did you find yourself entering it?
That was through my high school's glee club. So we competed at nationals, and I ended up meeting a woman named Elaine Overholt, and she had told me hey, if you want to pursue this professionally, I think you can do it. And then I was sent a few weeks later the Blues Fest audition site, and I submitted, and the rest is history.
Wow. That's so cool. I mean, Glee played a role. So was there a Glee club at your school before the show?
Yeah, they had it running 1 year before I joined, I think. And then I joined, and I would not say we were the greatest in the world.
It was inspired by the TV show? Was it kind of you guys wanting to live out that TV show thing a little bit?
Yeah. We did a 20-minute show. The theme that year was party. It was just party. I was dressed in a green tutu. And because it was a Catholic school and my chest was too large at the time, they put a big green scarf over me so nobody could see the bouncing.
Wow. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess they got to think about all that stuff in the old Catholic school, Yeah, for sure. But definitely. So you come out of there. Did you do music lessons growing up?
Yes. Piano since I was about 3. And then vocal lessons since I was 7 or 8. So
Oh, wow.
I've always had music in my life, always.
Okay. Like, and the vocal thing, like, did you always have that bit of a smokiness to your voice, or was that something you, again, worked on a little bit?
I think I would have to check some VHS tapes.
Because, I mean, you've got that great, it's great tone to it, great smokiness. And I know I've been told that probably a million times by producers and whatnot. It said you recorded with producer Robin Delanto.
Yeah, Robin was amazing. So we wrote I Don't Sleep together, and then we did That Girl on my album together. So she's phenomenal. She's now signed, I think, to Warner Chappell as a writer, and she's just blown up. And she has a baby now. It's so nice.
Oh my gosh. So that's so cool. And like that song now has like, is it more than 500,000 streams?
Yeah, I think we passed it now in total. I think it's at like 600 or 700,000.
So then like I got into Love Games, and that's like one of my personal favorites, but that's because like I have guilty pleasures like with certain pop songs, and like I love backing vocals, just like it's one of my things where if I hear backing vocals or chants or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's it. So as soon as I'm hearing the Love Game backing vocals, I'm all game, it's Love Game, yes, I'm into it, and that's fantastic. And then The Art of Reality blew me backwards.
Really?
I don't think I ever listened to it before today. And I think I was like, wow, way more people should know this song. Way more people should have heard this song. That was my opinion when I listened to it. And I thought immediately like sci-fi movie or
that was the point.
epic saga movie theme. And yeah, it struck me. Very, very nice. And then you had the full-length album 2019, Uncomfortable Eye Contact.
Yes.
And what was it like doing like a full album versus doing singles?
It was definitely interesting, especially at my age, to have to curate, like, I think we did 9 songs and trying to figure out what works together. Luckily, I had some help financing that project. Thank you, Factor. But it was definitely a whole, like, you essentially jump into the deep end, going from a label handling everything to independently suddenly you're doing an album. It was a whole new experience, but it did set me up for now working on this new EP that's coming out next year, where I'm way more prepared on what I also wish I would have done better.
I hear that. And you've worked with like various producers, I think, over the years. Like, am I wrong in saying I thought you at one time worked with like a Justin Bieber producer?
Oh, that's Rob Wells.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Rob did the album, and we wrote a lot together at the time. So I've learned he was basically a mentor for me at the end.
Okay.
I still keep him. He's still in my circle to this day. But
Rob's manager is my producer's manager.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a small world, folks. And like, of course, they're completely different genres, right? But Bill Miller, he knows what he's doing. He's got his stable of producers. Yeah,
Go,
man.
Bill.
Bill knows
Go,
what he's
Bill.
talking about. So that was very cool. Like, it's such a small world, right? Like, we crossed paths, I think, in 2018, and it was Jim Beam, Canadian Music Week, trying to get into that, trying to get a spot there, and which is humorous now for sure, because we've both done it now, I think, multiple times. And
Yeah.
like, back then, I was like, you gotta do this, and it was pretty serious night. But
see, I didn't think I stood a chance.
oh, well, I mean, I don't know if thought I stood a chance, but once I get into the mode, I get very...
Oh, you guys were phenomenal. You're just fun.
thanks.
I mean, that was a great lineup. I mean, I don't remember all the band names, but I know like Patrick Rock was there. It was me, Taming Sorry, the Peptides, and then I can't remember Carter's band's name, but I love them. They were so good.
Yeah. And I told Peptides the whole night, I'm like, I don't care. You beat me and I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm
Peptides.
I'm all right with it. I accept defeat here. And it's just because like I told Andrew yesterday, it's like, when you think about how to choreograph like 7 people or 8 people in costume and everything and choreographed, and then everyone singing well on top of it, it's like, okay, all right. But
I was like, leave some talent for the rest of us, please.
and I remember you were playing the keyboard
Yeah.
that night, and I think, were you wearing your glasses?
Yeah, I had glasses at the time.
And you had more of like, I think the music was a little bit somber, more
Yeah, like full AC. Like it was very contemporary, adult, like nowhere near where I am
No.
now.
No, when I was listening to the new stuff, I was like, oh, okay. There is a growth here that's occurred. And
Character development.
yeah, right? And I mean, you write with all these different people. Like, I saw that you work with the legend Lynn Hansen, and you also write with a fellow named Terry. What's
Yep.
Terry's last name?
Terry Fernio.
Yeah, and so I give kudos to what you're doing because it matters. And I keep encouraging people, like, collaborate and get out there and do writers' circles and all these things because you meet fantastic people. And the more you dig in, it seems like you'll find those people who want to dig in with you, you know? And that live video, I would recommend anyone watching right now afterwards go to Emma's YouTube channel and check out her live video from Redbird that was just posted 2 weeks ago. And I really enjoy it because there's nothing fancy about the video, but the audio, it's bueno. It's good. It's good. And so there's no like worries. And it's not like, you're putting on some fancy show like Taylor Swift, running around from corner to corner. I mean, what do you think about Taylor Swift?
I truly love her. I listen to mostly, I think it's the Back to December album and Red. Those are the two main albums that I go back to, but I think she's phenomenal. She is the definition of being prolific. And I think it's crazy what she's done for women in music and paving the way for what's possible. I would love to perform in those kinds of arenas and stadiums. Please hire me.
Do it. You won't. It's not a mistake. Do it, folks. I was blown away by you all those years ago, even when you were doing contemporary and it was different and the feel was different. I was still blown away as my band was blown away. And now listening to everything that I did today, I was just like, I don't understand how you're not like a worldwide known entity. And this is what I find so amazing about right now in this time period is like people can have 500,000 streams. They can have a total of like 3 million streams and have touched hundreds of thousands of people's lives. And still, we're nobody, say it at least in the grand scheme of things. And Emma's much more of an established artist than I am in that way. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, but even still, you know, it's not fair. It's not right. And I'll tell you, if you keep going, you're going to find that worldwide audience because,
I hope so.
Dude, your songwriting is getting so good. Like your wordplay. And again, I'm telling people, go listen to her new stuff and hear this wordplay that's going on. It's really cool. And your voice, I think, was always there, wasn't it?
Yeah. When I did start, I was singing with an accent. I really don't know where that happened. So once the accent disappeared, I think everything started to work out.
What accent?
You know, cursive singing? I don't know. It was like a British thing. I don't understand. If anybody ever wants to dig into my past, you can search up All Saints Flash Show Choir, and there's like 2 videos. One where I sing Life of the Party by Shawn Mendes, and that one, there's an accent. There's an accent. And also I didn't know how to sing quiet on high notes, so it's just like
that's me too, probably. I don't think I'm very good at it. And whenever I break into the top falsetto note, nice and soft on a note, like it'll, you know, that breaking point, and I'll look at my bass player and he'll be like, okay, whatever. You know, like if I ever have one of those good moments, I immediately I look over like, And then as soon as I mess up, they look at me like, and I'm like, damn it.
My favorite thing to do right now is when I'm playing one of the new songs for somebody, at one point I'll do something that I think is impressive, and then I'll look at them and I'll go, that girl should be a singer. That's my favorite thing to do.
I love it.
Also in writing sessions, if somebody says something I like, I'll just go, big fan. Big fan. That's my catchphrase right now.
Big fan. Big fan. What was the crowd like at Redbird for that show, for that live video that I'm watching? Because
so supportive.
I'm hearing people laughing in the audience. I'm hearing lady laughter, like quite a bit of it. So, like, do you have a lot of girl fans?
I have a pretty good blend of gender spread, so it's pretty all around.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so was that a new experience being in a relationship while being an artist?
Yes. Yeah, that was, and it was definitely something that I learned a lot from in terms of how to balance, because I was not capable of balancing with that person. It was very much like leaving my career behind for them, and not to speak ill of anybody,
No.
but I just feel like I know what I'm looking for going into a new relationship, and the priorities are definitely different.
I've been there. I've been in many of these similar boats. And when I tell these stories, sometimes people just go, there's no way. And I say, well, listen, I got off the stage at the Rainbow. It was sold out. Just a fantastic night. And I get off the stage and, two girls probably about your height. And, they just come running over to me and they're like, hey, we want a picture with you. Fantastic. Maybe I can sell a couple of t-shirts tonight.
Nice.
That would be wonderful. So I do the picture with them. While the picture's being taken and I say cheese, my girlfriend at the time, she appeared out of nowhere and just, whoa, bam! Hammer fist right to my face, right?
She punched you?
Oh, yeah, real good. And she was jealous. She was drunk. And jealousy's a real thing, folks. And I've explained it to multiple girlfriends over the years that I'm working. I know I appear like a lazy person. But when I go to these shows,
you're on call.
I'm working and I am trying my damnedest to make a few merch sales because it will make a big difference in my band's longevity to make fans that care and, hold on to you in some capacity.
Yep.
So I'm aware of that. And no, I don't cross the line. I've been doing this for 15 years and no, I don't. I'm gosh, you hear nightmare stories about people that cross the line. So My girlfriend, she knew I wasn't bad, but she was drunk and I paid the price for something.
Did she give you a nice shiner?
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, it wasn't great, but ugh. And then later on, I've had another girl tell me, like, give it up. And that really hurt. And I just explained to them, like, okay, that's definitely, like, the end. Because, like, no one tells me that.
Yeah.
Like, not even my family members have the gall to tell me that. And I put them through the ringer trying to be an artist. So, when that came at me, I was like, oh, no, not for me.
No, you can't have people that end up standing in your way. I actually had this picture in my phone that described a lot of like what I exited, which was like, it doesn't always have to be a terrible thing, but sometimes somebody who is not able to help themselves, that starts to leech onto you. And it's like, it's a rotten strawberry that's passing it along to the next one. And that one stuck with me a little bit because it's like, there's only so much you can do to hold somebody out of the water. And so you gotta figure out your own shit, and that's what I've done all this year is figure out my shit. And I'm in a totally different mental place. Like it feels so good to be in a mental state of mind where people are saying like, oh my gosh, what happened? Like you're so confident, you're doing so well. And I'm there like, yeah. There's no winning breakups, but I feel really good.
You should be proud of yourself, and it's not easy. Breakups, period. They suck. And I mean, anytime you make that connection, right? And as humans, it's like what we want to do so badly is connect with others on all these different levels, and then all of a sudden it's like, bye. Okay, weird. And, being in a band, which I wanted to ask you, like, you've got such a brilliant voice and I can hear the power in it and I can hear the control in it. And I was thinking in my mind, like, have you ever thought about like singing for like a Linkin Park style band? Like, because when I heard Emily and then I heard your voice today, I was like, I think she could step right in there and kill it if she wanted to. So
I love rock music so much. Like I grew up Bon Jovi. That was like Keep the Faith, that album. Oh my God, that raised me. And so I really want to revisit that like old Kelly Clarkson vibe. Like I really want to do that. I eventually will.
How old were you when Kelly Clarkson won American
What
Idol?
year did she win? Like 2002?
Like she was the first one. Like probably.
So I was 2.
Yeah, like I was watching it. I was a kid, I think, but I remember watching it. And I remember Justin Guarini. And these competitions, folks, sometimes they're so silly. Like, I'm so happy that you were in a competition and it led to positivity for you. And it led to like good things. Because even yesterday, Andrew Parmalee here was saying, like competitions, like what do we do about them? Like what do you do? And I get his point because it's like the whiskey bar that we were at, and it's like Canadian Music Week, and it's like we're all deserving of going to play at Canadian Music Week. We've all done the homework and what you're supposed to do, right? It just doesn't work that way. And, so anyways, let's talk about mentors. And you already spoke a little bit about producers and about Lynn Hansen and about Terry. Was there anyone else? I mean, who was teaching you vocals in the early days?
I had a teacher named Barbara who was a very stern Polish lady who scared the bejesus out of me, but taught me how to sing. And I would not be here without her. She was something, but I really want to meet her again. I'm hoping I can track her down in Kingston and see if I can, it's like, hey, you saw me when I was yay tall, and now I'm this, and this is what I'm doing.
Was she mega talented?
Yes. Yeah. She was a phenomenal opera singer.
Yeah.
She had red hair. I do remember that. And we would do recitals, and it was just so much fun. And I really enjoyed music with her. But she was also like a no bullshit. Like when we're practicing, we're practicing. And I really kept that with me throughout all facets of my life. Like, okay, there's a time for being goofy and there's a time for being serious.
It's so true. And I mean, that brings me back to my music teachers and the same thing. Like, I believe stern teachers, generally, they're stern for a reason. Sometimes there's jerks. Sometimes you encounter pretentious people. Sometimes you just encounter very skilled, very knowledgeable, talented people. And I was blessed with that too. In my small town, we had a couple there from England that used to be paparazzi. In the old days, when paparazzi wasn't so vicious, you kind of stood in line and waited to take the pictures. So their house was filled with pictures of the Queen and the royals and Elton John and all these different, people. And then they'd play music for me, and I'd ask them to play again, and they would refuse. Because I was doing conservatory, right? And so the pieces that they'd pull out would just blow my mind sometimes. I'd be like, I can't play that. And then John's like, just watch. And then you're like, oh, okay. All right, you know what you're doing. I guess I'm going to shut up. And even his wife was teaching vocals, and then the cats would come sit with us while we were playing piano, and they'd watch us, and I loved that.
Oh, I had a vocal teacher with a dog who would sing, and he would like run and bombard into the basement, shove the door open, and then howl at the top of his lungs. It was so funny.
Yeah, some dogs love to sing. They really do. Where did you go to school for audio engineering?
I went the Raven Street.
Oh, I had a friend go there years ago, and so I have some Raven Street memories too. What a great studio room. What a great room. And who was your teachers there?
Marty.
Okay, yeah, Marty.
I love Marty.
Yeah, Marty was there all those years ago as well. I think Tevlin was there as well. Steve Tevlin was there back in those days. And the Saab guys, of course, are, I've left their imprints all over this city's musical landscape.
Yeah. Marty always had a thing every year. And in my year, it was conspiracy theories. So I got like really into conspiracy theories that year. I'm like, audio engineering, what? Tell me about the aliens underneath the Chicago airport.
Oh, now I'm going to be Googling that. As soon as you leave, I'm digging straight in, I highly recommend the Y-Files to you. If you enjoy, if anyone enjoys, like, conspiracies, but, like, a great one-man YouTube production on it, it's like, check out the Y-Files. Like, it was like one inspirational channel to me to get into this, because he does such a great job telling these conspiracy stories and then debunking them. So he'll build you up, and you're like, oh my God, the aliens and the monkeys became best friends and they made Atlantis. And then all of a sudden he debunks it and you're like, like, and then
you really want to believe it.
Yes. And then the ones where he goes, I can't debunk it. You're like, oh, so.
Those ones are crazy.
Yeah. I'm a YouTube fanatic. I love Ants Canada. Even though he's not in Canada anymore. He's like in Brazil, But like he does all these, it's like 6 million followers. And it's all about like he's built this giant animal, I don't know what you call it, terrarium living thing. And there's ants and everything. And I just love it.
I figured there would be ants involved.
Oh, yeah. And like he shows you like how they mate, like how crickets mate. And it's bizarre. Like they leave something called a spermaticide in, like they plug the woman up. And then and then it's like their penis detaches and then they leave. It's not a penis though. It's a weird bug thing.
Wait, so you're saying that it's possible for men to just leave?
And leave their wiener behind? No. Men are not and human males are not okay with this concept. Definitely not. But yeah, it's a great channel because it shows you weird things like that. And it's for kids. So I feel awkward for the parents that are explaining this.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? So you just did a Wicked show at the Bronson Center. Can you tell me all about it?
Oh, that was phenomenal. That's the word I've been using the whole time, is phenomenal. So I had been selected by Forrest to open for him in Ottawa, and then I was given 20 minutes, and I was like, I'm going to play the best 20-minute set I've ever played in my career. And so my producer and one of my favorite co-writers, Josh Bogert, he drove down. So not only were we recording, but he played the show with me. And it was just such a great experience because I could really see that being my show. I was up there going, I can do this. This can be my career. I can be headlining these spaces. And it was so great to like feel the audience resonating with what I was doing and responding. And people were like nodding and cheering. And it's just like, oh. And we played the Goo Goo Dolls cover that I do, Iris. And that was so nice because I introduced it saying like, hey, sing along with us on the choruses, and so we can show Forrest that you're going to be like one of the best crowds on his whole tour. And they sang every single word, and they didn't just sing it, they screamed it. It was so loud. Like Josh and I are up there going like, what is happening? It was so loud.
Is that the one that they're playing in the rain?
Yeah.
Oh God, that video. I mean, what a video. Holy crap. I mean, every band wants that. There's nothing more like emotionally powerful than that video. Plus the dude's in his prime. Like he looks like $8 bajillion in that video. You know what I mean? Which is like every frontman's dream. Yeah. When I was at Blues Fest, I looked like a ragged out, sold out, rented donkey by the end of it.
I told you, man buns.
Dude, like it was like, it was horrifyingly bad. And like, I was just like, how do people do that? How do people come up and like kill it for an hour and not come off looking like I was looking? Because like I was like, oh,
but they do.
I know.
The thing, they are drenched in sweat like everybody else. We just don't pay attention as much.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes me feel a little bit better. And Forrest Black, it's not someone I'm very familiar with. Obviously, big in your genre, which is lyric focused folk pop.
I think so. I'm leaning more into pop Americana right now. I think that's a good descriptor of what's going to happen on this new project. So It's like pop with big drums.
Pop with big drums. Like Lumineers?
A little bit, but like we're still commercial enough. But we have even some rock on the project as well that we leaned into for certain songs. So it's just been a lot of fun. It's very organic based. So anything on it, I'm pretty sure I can perform live without needing many tracks. So it's I'm very excited. So it's very like witty writing, witty lyrics, and just big ass vocals. We did choirs. We did the whole shebang, all the works. Give me a Subway sandwich.
Oh wow, choirs. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Man, that's exciting. I mean, you must be thrilled to be bringing forward. There's nothing like releasing. There's nothing like it. Like the building is such a fantastic experience. And I wish it to everybody to go through, every artist to go through different recording processes and figure what is their favorite and like what they enjoy most. I've recorded an album over months, and I've recorded an album in 8 days. And yeah, with the band just like, go. And well, yeah, but I mean, it wasn't all live off the floor. And I'm always at the end because I'm just a vocalist. Like I don't play an instrument like you do. So I'm just like watching them, and I get thrown out of the studio all the time because I make faces. Just because if they make a mistake or something, I go, oh, get out, Warren. Get out of the room now. And then, so.
Just on timeout.
Yeah, all the time. I'm always on timeout. And then the last day, they're like, oh, we've got like 4 hours left in the studio. And I'm like, we spent 8 days here. And they're like, yeah, let's do all of Warren right now. Like, get him in there and crank it out. And I drink a lot of honey lemon tea and with honey, the lemon ginger.
Yep.
Do you do that too?
I do. I make my own ginger bombs at home too. So I like grate ginger up and then mix in lemons. Like I do lemons with peel too, so that I get all the bitter stuff. And then I add honey and hot water. We do a nice little treatment.
Nice. Was Forrest Black, did you get to speak with him?
I did, yeah. I met him in his green room before the show and we got to chat a little bit. And it was really nice to get to know him and meet him in person. And then we chatted after the show on my way out of the venue. And he was just a really great person, honestly, genuine. His show is very well crafted. It was, I think, the third last show on the tour, so you could just feel everything was very, very tight. It was really, really well done.
Oh, nice. And like full band, or was it just him? Or?
He had a drummer and a piano player with him, and then I think they had some tracks, but I noticed quite a lot was just him on an acoustic with drums and piano.
Reminds me of the Butler Trio. That was the only thing that was coming to my mind there when you mentioned those instruments as a trio, and I was like, that's so cool. Do you love playing with all the different sounds, all the different instruments? Something I really admired about what I was listening to in your work was your usage of woes and yays and whatever the sound might be. I think that's something a lot of artists have to embrace and have a hard time embracing because I think it's silly. That's silly. Why would I have a whoa, whoa, whoa part? Or why would I yell out, yeah, 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 or whatever, right? And you're like, because it's personality and people like it and it's fun. And it's in all the songs you love. I've noticed with my niece, like she's singing, she's a year and 2 months. And right now she's obsessed with Old MacDonald. And
fantastic song choice,
right?
Yeah, she's already on her way to having excellent taste in music
because she's walking around and she's hooked because she's going E-I-O, 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 and so that's what's in her mind, and so you're like, yeah, Old MacDonald, that's right, E-I-O, and so that's made me click even more. Like, what a hook! Like E-I-E-I-O, like no one even has the gall to do that now. Like that's a wicked hook. And, kids' music, I've been finding more and more, like, the hooks, I'm like, oh, that is dirty. That is just a dirty hook, And what I loved about your hooks is the finesse of the folk hook. That's what I was appreciating in the 6 songs from the Redbird. Let's talk a little bit about that, because before I forget everything I was thinking about them. The I'm Not a Dancer was fop. That's fantastic. I think that song's going to do really well.
Yeah, I plan on, bringing it back out.
Always and Nothing at All. Was that a song? That was before?
That one it's a song that I bring out when I'm playing live shows. I wrote that a lot about like certain things I was going through with like mental health at the time. Mm-hmm. I find it's a good one. It makes me feel sad.
Opens it up.
So I don't play it as often anymore because I'm like, that's why I joke about things. I have a guilty conscience and I don't like to make people feel sad. So I'm like, maybe if I can make you laugh, you'll forget that I made you cry.
Oh my gosh. No, Emma, no. It's just going to make people cry more. Okay? Because she's so sweet. She cares that she made me feel like, oh my God. And like the song, It's Better With You. I got that sense, what you just said. You just explained what I got from It's Better With You, because you were stopping and saying stuff during that song, and it was almost like I'm afraid I'm gonna touch you emotionally with this song. Mm-hmm. Gosh, I don't know what to tell you about that. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I have no idea. I know you're super vulnerable and that's connecting you with your audience, so I'm not gonna criticize it in any capacity. But what I will say is, like, I get down on my guitar players, and when we're writing stuff, and like the last time we were in the studio, and I was like, listen, I haven't been in a serious relationship for a while. Joe, you're young. You're 27. I need to rip your heart out right now. Okay. So you need to tell me about the last time you had your heart broken. And so, yeah.
What a way to put him through.
Oh, yeah. This was
Through it.
This was during the 8 days of getting the album done. We had one song we had to do on the fly, and it was a ballad. That was what we had to do. And so he was like, well, there was this one time I was such a horrible boyfriend. I was such a piece of shit person.
We respect a man who can be reflective on treating somebody not so nicely. We respect that. Learn from it.
Yeah, and he was saying, you know, I was just not great in my life at that point, and I ended up having to say goodbye to this person because I didn't want to hurt them anymore. And so I was like, you had to kiss her goodbye? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, yes, kiss you goodbye. And then, you know, I just start digging into him more and more, and it's one of my favorite songs that we've written because I got to poke and prod at him, and you know, so I was maniacal. If I got to make the crowd feel like you did, I'd be thrilled. I'd be, you know.
It's deep down, I do enjoy when people feel things visibly too. Even the thing that I was surprised that I enjoyed so much, I was so nervous for one thing at the Force Black show, which was like, Ottawa, how are we feeling? Or whatever I said. And I was so nervous for that until I said it. And I was like, I eat that shit up. I'm going to do this at every show. That was so fantastic. I was like, I feel like a star.
Yeah. Yes. I've only ever got to play at the Bronze Center one time, and it went by too fast. It's just too fast. Yep. That's all I could say. It was just so much fun and so great to connect with people that are just thrilled to be there. And it's same as Blues Fest. It's the same thing. Too fast. The only thing I would tell people is watch out for that humidity. As soon as I opened my mouth on that stage and it was a hot day and it was humid out, I took that first breath and I went, uh-oh, this is going to be a different type of show today. Yeah. So will I ever get to, I often wonder, or no, will I ever get to where I need to be? I often wonder. And the I often wonder hook I thought was brilliant. And then the sing-along whoa part, which I was referring to before, brilliant. And just like so cool. So I think this song was a heavy hitter for me out of everything I was listening to.
Lost People.
Yeah. Nice title.
Yeah. So I was inspired when we wrote that. I was inspired because I was at Rito Center with my mom one day, and this boy had come up to ask me for directions. And so I gave him the directions. And then I turned around and went up the escalator, and I could see in my reflection on the escalator that he had gone up the escalator. So he did not head to where he needed to be. And then when we got to the top of the escalator in front of my mom, he asked me out for bubble tea. And at the time I was not emotionally available. So I got nervous. I was very nervous and I didn't say yes to that. But I really respect that boy so much. Because that's something that I would do now. Like I'm very forward of a person, so I'm not afraid to like let people know I'm interested in them.
Oh wow,
but that's where it's
cool.
Like I thought, well, what if I gave somebody the wrong directions?
That's great.
And then we wrote about that.
I mean, the whole forward thing. I mean, that's a dude's dream right there, Emma. Because listen, I was out playing pool with my bandmates one night after jam, and I don't know. You've met Miguel. Everybody loves Miguel. Mm-hmm. I've never met anybody who wasn't in love with Miguel once they started having a conversation with him. So we played pool and all that fun. There was a table over here where a couple girls were playing, and you know, maybe once we looked over, oh yeah, cute girl, sweet, but it was a packed bar, so it wasn't anything you stood out too much. Then we go outside for a smoke, and I don't smoke anymore, but at the time we went out, and this girl walks over to Mig and me and Taylor, but then picks out Mig, and she's French and Mig's French, but she goes, hey, I just thought, you know, you're a really cute guy. Maybe we could go out sometime. And I was like, fuck off.
That's me, though. That's me.
I like Miguel. Like, Mig had a girlfriend at the time. So I was like, first of all, I'm English and Taylor's English, but he's French. So just la 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 to each other. Like, don't worry about speaking English here, you know? And I was like, Nick, I hate you. And like, me and Taylor left them alone. But like,
that's typically what I do. I mean, to be fair though, like if I add in the factor that I'm 6'1", I don't often get approached by men. You know, I don't know
That's
if I
weird,
invite many
though.
things, but but even recently, there was a guy that had like, he was nicely flirting in my DMs. I've known him from high school, and then I just said like, hey, next time you're in Ottawa, buy me a drink, and then we'll see if he calls. Like, we'll maybe have like a podcast update next time.
Yeah, please, we need an update on your dating life. Let's do it weekly. Love updates with Emma.
Love update.
Yeah.
Emma.
Yeah. Oh, the smoke on Emma. Wow. So good. I love it. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, man. And your Instagram is so much fun. Are you on TikTok too?
I have to get started on TikTok. For some reason,
It's going to get banned. So it doesn't they keep saying, we're going to ban TikTok.
I know. Maybe I'll just go to YouTube Shorts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's what.
Or start a podcast.
Do it. This channel basically is all YouTube shorts. Like the channel has like 50,000 views, but it's all YouTube short views. And I mean, it's fantastic. Everyone has their community come and support, and that's amazing. But it's fascinating to me how I put these 1-minute videos out. Oh, it's got 500 views in a few hours, and completely random people. And you're like, that's cool. That's why I'm doing this. We're sharing cool stories.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the first song? Do you remember the first musical memory where you were struck? You were really taken. So my story I always tell everyone is I was 3. I was in a crib thing at my babysitter's. She had like 16-year-old daughters who I was in love with, obviously. And they were singing along with the radio, and it was La Bamba. And I'm dancing.
La Bamba was my parents' nickname for me when I was a baby. Like, I was a destructive child. They called me La Bamba, the terrorist.
I love it. What a name. And for Emma Lamontagne, La Bamba, the terrorist? I mean, I love it. But
the appearance fools people. There is no elegance here.
I don't believe it for a second. You said that with the dance, I'm not a dancer video, and I was like, come on. Just because. So you're saying like tall people, they are more awkward? Like it's harder to find?
You're lanky. Like it's the wrists they're different.
Did you do ballet?
When I was like 4, but I never continued in dance. And so now I'm a permanent DD. I don't drink. And I just get on a dance floor now and I dance. And I don't care what people think. Because if you're going to be drunk, you're not going to remember me.
Yo, you're one of the coolest people. That reminds me of like high school. Like I used to go to the school dances and there was people getting fucked up on all kinds of shit. And I was not. I would go to these high school dances with the sole purpose of getting my sweat on and dancing as hard as I could. Now, yes, I was looking forward to a couple slow dances with a girl or two who I was incredibly awkward with.
Did you leave room for Jesus?
No. God, no. Hell no. And it was the most awkward thing the next day at school or the next week. You'd see her. Hi. Ha ha ha. Right. Weird. Okay, see you next dance. You know what I mean? I wasn't very good at that whole dating thing when I was in that. Like I told you, I was late to the party in the first place. And then once I got into the party, I was like, I just want to be a kid anyways. Like, I just want to dance and have fun. And you know, and once I got a girlfriend, the first thing you realize is like, oh, I have to do what you say? I have to go where you want? What?
How?
I can't go play road hockey today? I have to go have a walk with you at recess? This is mind-blowing to a boy.
Oh, you
know?
didn't learn how to set boundaries?
I was horrible at it. And I was not as good as Brody. Brody was in public school. He had all the girls' love and attention, and he knew how to give it back. He knew how to focus on them. You know, I was not. I was very selfish. I'll even admit to having multiple girlfriends in grade 4. Yeah.
Multiple.
They found out. They
Warren.
found out. And I was not ashamed at the time. I am now. But at the time, I thought, what?
Sir.
I know, right? I was married in kindergarten as well.
Did you cheat on her too?
No, but I remarried the next year when she went to another school.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I didn't like the next wife as much, though. I remember that.
How many wives have you had?
Child wives. As a child myself, It's like podcast clips in a bad way. How many? I got married a lot as a kid, and I would then marry people. I remember marrying people as well as being married. It was just the thing to do back then. It was just, I held on to.
That's Rubik's Cube.
Was it love?
Yes. Rubik's Cube. I wrote that with Lynn Hansen.
So is the question thing, like you're doing this thing where you're adding in a question into like the second part of the statement. I think that's smart. And there must be some kind of a writing thing. People pick up on that out there. And like, do you ever do like an AB or BB or whatever kind of...
God, there's a dog.
Yeah, that's Sasha. She's 120 pounds of love. And
I would love her.
Yeah, she wants love, and the reason we're keeping her away is because she'll like come to you like this, and she'll want to sit up and hold hands with you.
And you're withholding this from me because
a lot of people find her overwhelming.
No,
they're like,
not
"Oh,
me.
that's a lot," and then she knocks things over. And yeah,
release the dog.
Let her come down, see what she does. She might knock the camera, but
okay, wait, no camera.
Yeah, I know, right? And then the other one was, what if I wrote you a letter?
Yes. I love that song so much.
Again, a question.
Yeah.
This is cool. I like it. And I like that you're able to write songs that aren't just about love songs. I think that's another growth that I'm seeing come through. What I really liked is like they're being I can interpret them different ways.
Yeah.
Like Love Game is love, Love Game. Yeah. I'm telling you, I love that song. But anyways, I'm seeing the growth. So let's go back through a couple shows. You did Upper Canada Folk Fest. What was that like?
That was awesome. That was like I had the timing of being the only act who got caught in the sun. So I was drenched, like water dripping down my body. So hot. I think it was like 30-something, 35 degrees that day. It was crazy. But we dealt with it. We performed. And it was so much fun. Prescott was awesome. I would come back to Prescott any day. That was just like a welcoming audience who's open to what they could be hearing that day. It was just like, it's so nice when you're around an audience who's like, I wonder what we're going to hear.
Yeah. And they care and they listen. Now, Prescott, when I was growing up, I was from Chesterville, and like Prescott's a rough town, folks. Okay. That's what I was told growing up. Like, watch out for those Cardinal kids and whatnot. And but I was always wary of that. We had the Morewood kids. We had Inkerman. We had some weird towns out around Ottawa here, folks. But we're okay. We're cool kids too. So then I see you did Ottawa Jazz Fest.
Oh, that was so fun. That I got a matinee, so I was like the only matinee on the last day, and I was expecting like, maybe there will be like 50 people. The tent was packed. I think there was at least 300 people there. Almost every seat was filled, and they gave me my first standing ovation.
Wow.
Like, a whole audience. I didn't even promote the show. A whole audience of people who just came to see a Jazz Fest matinee, and they gave me a standing ovation. They had no idea who I was.
How many people do you think?
At least 250 to 300.
Wow.
Right.
And do you think it was like the slow clap? Was it like one person triggered this, or was it like a mass, we are in this?
It was like a we are in. It was like the front stood up and then everybody else stood up, and I was like, yes. I cried.
Hell yeah.
I cried. My ego today is like, yeah, do it again.
Good. Yeah, exactly. Every time your ego gets hurt, it's just going to be like, no. Remember
the standing ovation?
Yeah. Totally. My first standing ovation, I was 13 and I was doing a stand-up comedy show.
You did stand up?
Yeah.
Nice.
And it was a sold out, well, it was raining and thundering in small town, and there was like hundreds of people that flocked into this, metal barn, and I was selling a male brassiere. And then I tell people I wrote this before Seinfeld, and like we were either synergized or I wrote it before the Bro came out. Mm-hmm. And like I wore like a fat chest with like boobs, and then I had this thing where I like strapped it in, and I told people like this was good for fat men and whatnot. So I think all the wives in the crowd like really got a kick out of it, poking their husbands and whatnot.
Nice.
Yeah. And so that night it was a culmination of events where I had a great performance. I was hitting my points and my jokes. And then everyone was forced together, like, because they didn't want to be out in that thunderstorm.
Mhm.
So it'll always be that memory. And I've always said to myself since that time, like, oh, I got to do that again. I've never done that. I've had sold out shows with music and like great applause. I mean, not what you got. I mean, that's chill bending stuff. Like,
Yeah.
really gets the goosebumps going on you, eh?
Yeah, like I said, I just cried. I'm standing in front of these people. I'm like, oh my God.
You're honest, you're intimate, hilarious, and like I said, this banter that you're presenting with the music, I think it's the right page. And like, also, kudos to you because like, let me ask you about this. You're a huge fan of Taylor Swift. Are you a huge fan of Sabrina Carpenter?
I love Sabrina Carpenter. I will not say which one I like more, but Sabrina's album I listen to on so many walks. So it is just such good writing. I really identify with the style that they've done, and she's so honest. Like, just delivers. I love it.
I didn't know who she was until Espresso. And I think that was a lot of people. Or, sorry, what'd you say?
Espresso.
Espresso.
That's that me espresso.
That's that me espresso. Yeah, man. And so that's the thing. It's like, I didn't know about her till I saw that video and that song. And I was like, again, you hear certain songs and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. Here we go. Song of the summer. I mean, this is the thing. What do you think? I see these clips on YouTube out of nowhere and she's doing these poses to certain songs. Mm-hmm. And these poses are risque. Could you ever see Emma Lamontagne doing risque poses for the purpose of songs on a tour?
Yo, when my Bronson footage is uploaded, there's a line in a song where I full on grab my crotch and I thrust. So absolutely.
Michael Jackson.
Absolutely.
So it's like artistic freedom.
Yeah, you know, I just, the emotions took over in the moment. It was a song about the sex that I am not having. And if we want to talk about where my romantic life's at right now.
It's okay. I'm crying about a cat. So just imagine mine. Okay. But anyways, I hear you, man. I hear you. It's rough out there for the artist, isn't it? Because we have to like face all these things, you know?
We face them and then we write about them. And I think a really interesting thing is that like what we write about is not always so literal. It really is not. It's like, here's a thing that I was feeling. It's not necessarily about the person who made me feel it, you know? That's, I think, an important thing for people to know about songwriting.
Yeah.
It's like, I wrote a song called That Girl about a guy I never even went on a date with, but the song insinuates a one-night stand.
Right. So it's
never
imagination. It's an imagination thing, right?
Yeah. I live in a fantasy land.
Well, we all do. And then we try and make it happen, you know? And I think you're doing that. Going back all those years that I first saw you, you're doing even better now. You're killing it now. You're entering into your own phase of what I'm going to call mastery. And I think mastery of anything takes many, many years and many, many trials and tribulations and failures and getting up and being pushed down and meeting this mentor and meeting that mentor and getting hired, getting fired, on and on. And I think you've been doing it. And I think you're approaching a really great level here. And anyone who dares hold you back is fairly mistaken. They're making a big mistake. And I don't say that about everybody. I think you're heavy hitting talent in this city and who needs to be known more. So I wish you the best of luck. I know you're going to keep killing it, keep doing amazing things. Is it true that you love to knit?
I do. I love to knit. I have not knit since September since I started this project, but I like to make sweaters. So, which is counterintuitive because then I have so many sweaters and I don't have anywhere to put the sweaters, and then I buy yarn and then I don't have anywhere to put the yarn because the sweater took up the place of the old yarn, and then it's just
Yeah.
But I love to knit. It calms me down. It gives me something to do with my hands. It helps me concentrate too. I know people get annoyed sometimes if I knit in front of them, but I'm like, this lets me pay attention to what you're saying. And also I get a sweater.
And I saw you were like selling toques, I think, right? At your last show. You have another show coming up soon. I think January 23rd.
No.
Oh, dang.
I forgot to take that off the website.
Sorry.
No, I'm actually just focused now on social media and the release of this project. I think I'll have a release show in October.
Okay.
So that will be in Ottawa.
Okay. And do you want to tour one day? Do you want to, rock the world?
Yes. So if any artist is looking for an opening act, specifically Donovan Woods.
Okay.
Maybe Gracie Abrams.
They are listening. I know they are.
They definitely. All About Warren. They're big fans.
I know that they're into this right now. I know they are. And you know what? You're going to open for them because you're manifesting it. Just by putting it out there, you've begun the manifestation process. Mm-hmm. And so now anything can happen.
Harry Styles.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I want to open for Harry Styles. I'm not gonna lie right now. When that guy came out in that outfit, like all those years ago now, I think it was, but when he came out in that crazy outfit, and I was like, damn.
Yo, that man can wear a jumpsuit.
Right?
Like, it's impressive.
I know it is. Dang it. But yeah, I have a real appreciation for stage costumes. I mean, that's again like a big thing, like what I love about when I played with Crownlands, is like their costumes are just on freaking point, And again, I love that dedication. So yeah, I think we've had a lot of fun. I've learned a lot about you. Is there you've talked about the artist that you're going to open for. You've talked about, I never got that first memory. What was that first musical memory?
For me, it's when my dad showed me a live performance that Natalie Imbruglia did of Torn. And there's like this interpreter guy who's miming. And eventually she comes out and she does the moves with him. And that has stuck with me. My dad, I probably watched this with him like 200 times. And that just stuck with me of like how you can, oh my God, comedy and music from the beginning.
Yeah.
From the beginning. Who would have known?
It stuck with you. And also the multiple art forms.
Yeah.
Strikes me as so cool that's going to hit you right away, that you're going to be like, oh, the song's great, but what about the visual?
Yeah.
And what about this and that? And that's the fun of it.
Mm-hmm. I'll send you the link for it if I pull it up again. It's just, such a good performance. But yeah, I just love music all around. I've been really on an input level lately of just discovering new bands. And it's been a lot of fun to just reevaluate kind of what I want to do and put that into the writing. And I think I'm really excited for this new project. It's really going to show people what I can actually do with my capabilities. So I'm very excited. It starts coming out in March. The first single comes out in March,
folks. Write that down. And remember, young artists watching, that what I'm struck by is humility again. This is an ongoing point on the show, is you can be super talented, but once you open yourself up with vulnerability and you acknowledge the talents of others and how they might assist in your journey, amazing things can happen. Growth can occur. And I think that's something that's happening with Emma and has happened with Emma. And you can either embrace it or you can push it away, right? Criticism and input and all these different ideas. And I think you've embraced it. And I think that's why you're finding the joy right now, is you've hit this stride of understanding of who you are and what you've got to bring and how you're going to bring it out. Thank you so, so much to Emma Lamontagne for coming on the show today. I had a lot of fun. There's links below. If you get a chance to see Emma live, do so. Go check out her YouTube video that I was talking about earlier. Spotify tracks, everything. Let's go. Follow her on Instagram, folks. Thank you, Emma.
Oh, thank you. This was actually a lot of fun. Has been my favorite podcast.
Yeah. And thank you out there. And we'll see you all again next time on All Worn Out. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.